Hey friends, happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining us for Unscripted on 13 Plus. I'm Anna Orsini.
And I'm Kirsten Courier. Happy Wednesday, halfway through the week, but definitely it's been a busy week leading up to
Lots going
Wednesday.
on.
Lots of wildfires.
Especially weather-wise, yeah. I feel like we have such a vast difference in what we're seeing. New Mexico, of course, those wildfires burning, but then the first tropical storm of the Atlantic season this morning. So we have updates on all of that heading into today, and a live picture actually from Texas this morning. We're looking at it.
It's very hectic.
Not a place I'd want to be today,
No.
That's for sure. Well, taking a look at some video of the fires that are burning right now in Ruidoso. Of course, we've been tracking this for you since yesterday. We know these fires started on Monday. Approximately 1,400 structures have been destroyed by that fire. 8,000 people have been evacuated. That is 500 more structures than they originally estimated yesterday.
So this fire obviously growing in size. It is 0% contained at this moment. We know the South Fork fire, that is more than 15,000 acres. The Salt fire, more than 5,500 acres. According to the New Mexico governor's office, one person has died here, 2 people are hurt. They're still working to get confirmation on if there's any other injuries involved here, but we know a lot of damage has been underway, specifically to buildings, also just a lot of homes there. We know the entire village of Ruidoso is under evacuation orders. Local officials are telling residents to evacuate immediately and to not take any belongings or try to protect their homes.
Now, precautionary drinking water advisory was put into place for Lincoln County. There's about 20,000 people in Lincoln County, so that's impacting a lot of people right now. So all these effects, of course, because of the wildfires that we're seeing in the area, people being advised to seek alternative water sources. Of course, some of those people having to find a new place to stay because, again, 8,000 people have been evacuated. We're still waiting on an update this morning on new numbers, kind of what that situation looks like. As soon as we get any new information, we'll be sure to bring that to you on air and online, so be sure that you have our mobile app and that you're staying connected with us on Facebook, all of our different social media platforms. Now we want to go ahead and take a look at a very different situation underway right now. This is in Texas, Port Aransas, Texas, which is kind of outside of Corpus Christi, and you can see the situation there, massive waves. They kind of keep switching the shot. Obviously raining, just a very unpleasant scene there this morning.
We know Tropical Storm Alberto has formed in the Gulf of Mexico, making it the very first named storm of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. So as you can see, live look this morning, not a lot of people on the beach, as they should not be there, because as you can see, it is just treacherous conditions, downpouring rain, huge waves here. So a lot of people concerned about flooding in this area, because we know in the past flooding has been a huge issue. But yes, all eyes kind of on Texas this morning.
Yeah, so that storm is located right now in the western Gulf of Mexico, so it's about 295 miles southeast of Brownsville, Texas. Tropical storm warnings in place right now along the Texas coast. Of course, when we think about that, we think about places like Galveston, Corpus Christi, and then Houston too could see the impacts of this. And we know that that's an area that's kind of prone to flooding. We saw that with Hurricane Harvey a few years back. So bracing for impact really along the Texas coast right now. High winds, they're going to experience about 10 to 15 inches of rain here in Corpus Christi. So the state government did enact a large-scale emergency response in anticipation of that widespread flooding. So of course, just thinking about the people in Texas and the people in New Mexico, it's just so crazy how we can all be in the same country, but very different images and very different weather situations happening right now.
Exactly, especially here at home, we are dealing with the heat. We have 13 First Alert forecaster Allie Potter here with us this morning. Allie, I mean, we're kind of used to the heat at this point, but it's very dangerous. We're dealing with some excessive heat warnings. But there are some changes on the way, so that's some good news.
Yeah, and you're talking about the tropics, right? And that's what we need to create those monsoon storms, and that's exactly what we're preparing for as we head into the rest of our work week, going into our weekend. So we're talking about the heat when it comes to tomorrow, but at least there's some relief.
I know.
Absolutely.
You know,
I just think it is good to see. I just think don't think too much about that just yet, because we have to get through tomorrow. And of course, excessive heat warning. You want to take that seriously.
Could be the hottest day of the year so far, right?
So far, that's what we're on par to see. And we've been flirting with that 110, I think 2 times so far. We made it to 109.4.
Oh, almost there.
So if we would have been to 0.5, then we would have been able to call it 110. But we haven't seen that. But I think we're going to do it tomorrow. It seems like that high pressure is really building, and it's going to finally bring us on there. And it's almost like let's just
Get it over with, rip the Band-Aid
we've
off.
been talking
Yeah.
about it, so and then it's just downhill from there when it comes to those temperatures. But
Perfect.
we typically don't start to see those monsoon storms until around that 4th of July. So we're actually earlier this year. So I don't think anyone's complaining, right? We can always use the rain. A live look here from Tombstone, 87 degrees right now in Tucson, 83 if you're in Sierra Vista, 84 for our friends in Nogales. We're seeing 92 from Marana. The 80s if you're in Safford, Douglas, and Bisbee. Here's a look at your out the door forecast. 105 today. We can do it just a couple degrees warmer than what we saw, in fact, yesterday. 101 by 2, 104 by 4 o'clock. We'll see the 90s around 8 o'clock, though, this evening, but not much relief, unfortunately, though. Your forecasted highs, here it is. 110 on Thursday, 106 by Friday, 103 on Saturday, 104 as we head into our Sunday. That excessive heat warning will go into effect tomorrow morning. It's going to continue all day on your Thursday, rolling into your Friday as well, expiring Friday evening at 8 o'clock. Expect highs between 106 and 113. And if you're in Cochise County, you're pretty much in the clear of this. You're going to be on the cooler side. However, the Tucson metro area all the way out west and up north, even to our friends up in the Phoenix area, will all be under this excessive heat warning. So please plan accordingly and just be smart, really, when it comes to dealing with these dangerous temperatures that we're going to be seeing tomorrow. Your live look here on your 13 First Alert radar. Dry and clear right now. But that can all change even tomorrow on your Thursday. We have a 20% chance for rain. On Friday, a 30%. And then come the weekend, a 40% chance for rain. It's time to brush off all these rain graphics. And it's going, whoa, we haven't seen you in quite some time. Let's put our 13 First Alert future radar into motion, shall we? Already seeing the green, and that's the rain. In fact, that's what we love to see. And it's been 70-some days since we've seen any type of significant rainfall here. This is Thursday evening, by the way, rolling into your Friday, and then Saturday morning, not too bad at all, up in the Phoenix area, all the way down to the Tucson metro area, parts of Sierra Vista, and of course Nogales. The weekend more promising with that 40% chance Saturday into Sunday. Here's Sunday evening, loving what we're seeing here, absolutely. So how much rainfall could we get between Thursday through Sunday? We're a little days out from that. So it's just kind of on the iffy side. And I will say this, our GFS model has kind of been all over the place. At one point, it's like 2/100 of an inch, and now it's showing 22/100 of an inch. But Nogales is showing near an inch of rain for you down there. So again, a lot can change between now and then. Usually our best bet is to see within around 24 hours or so from that date. So today's forecasted highs, we're seeing sunshine and temperatures 105 in Tucson, 98 for Nogales and Sierra Vista, 99 if you are in the Douglas area. Your 13 First Alert 7-day forecast includes that excessive heat warning tomorrow, but storms back in the forecast Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Wow. I love to see it.
I do too. It just doesn't make sense in my brain how we can have storms but also be 106.
Well, we need the heat. That's what helps with these storms.
Yes.
The high pressure builds.
Not
not
a meteorologist, yeah. I just in my brain, I'm like, how does that make sense? But
it is right, but that's part of the monsoon.
And then once you get the rain, it can cool down a little bit.
Yes.
And then we have to wait a little bit for Mother Nature to ramp back up.
It's kind of like she has to go to bed, take a little nap.
Yeah.
Wake up, be hot, get angry, rain.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
She's having a little bit of a meltdown, so it's raining. Okay, I get that.
It's like, here's a glass of wine, take a nap, we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, I get it. So she's me. Mother Nature is me.
Mother Nature is Anna.
Just a quick.
Just call it Anna.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd be all for that. We can start a petition. Just a quick little meltdown, quick little 15-minute storm, and then back sunny and clear skies. Perfect. Thank you, Allie.
Keep watching it. Thank you, Allie. Yeah.
Well, the U of A continues to make incredible discoveries in space, and recently a University of Arizona graduate student led a team of researchers who discovered the most distant supernovas ever found.
Yes, so we know Krista DeCourcy, definitely the star behind all of this, the one with all the information this morning. So you are a grad student at the University of Arizona. Tell us a little bit more about your findings.
Yeah, so The previous record for the most distant supernovae ever found, they exploded when the universe was just around 3 billion years old.
Okay.
And we have found 40 that existed or exploded when the universe was between 1 and 3 billion years old. And so with the James Webb Space Telescope, we've been able to shatter all these records and really probe into the very distant universe and see what individual stars looked like when they explode in this time period when the universe has been around.
Wow.
So what's the significance of these findings? What does knowing what those supernovas look like and finding these distant supernovas allow you to do?
Yeah, well, with supernova explosions, that's the only way that we can probe individual stars at these distances. And so this is the first glimpse we're getting of individual stars. We can study galaxies as a whole, which are big clumps of stars and gas and clusters of stars, but this is the way we can study individual stars. And they can give us hints as to the environments that we're seeing in the early universe, which are very different than the universe that we see now. It's very different from the Milky Way and all the galaxies around the Milky Way. The environmental conditions with the elements that were in the galaxies is very different. And so this is just our first glimpse of how many of these explosions are happening and the environments that they're happening in.
How long did it take you to kind of come up with these findings, or how
Yeah.
long was this whole process?
Well, it all started with the James Webb Space Telescope, which has been in the making for decades, before I was alive. But the project itself started over a year ago because in order to find these explosions, you need 2 sets of images of the same part of the sky taken with some time apart so that you can compare the 2 images. I like to think of it like the game in a magazine where you see 2 very similar images and you need to find the subtle differences.
Oh.
In one image, the star hasn't exploded yet. In the other image, it has exploded and appears as a little white dot. And so you need enough separation between those 2 images in order to allow explosions to happen. And so once we had the first set of data, we needed to wait a year to get another set of data to even start this project. And so this has been going on since fall of 2022.
So we have some of your images here that you had sent to us.
Yes.
We'll just kind of let them play in this video. Can you explain to us, for the person who's like me and Carson, who knows nothing about what happens in space, what are we seeing in some of these pictures?
So the top row of images, in this top one in particular, you see 2022 images at the very top. And so that panel that says Z equals 2.845, that Z is just redshift. That's a different way of measuring distance. I won't get into that. But the top row shows images taken in 2022. The bottom row shows images taken in 2023. And so, like I said, there's that year of separation. And so if you look at that center column, you'll see a cyan arrow in the 2023 row at the bottom, pointing to a little white dot. If you go to that same spot in the top row in the center, you don't see that dot there. And so in 2022, the supernova wasn't there. In 2023, you see the supernova appear. And that's the kind of things we're looking for. And that one exploded when the universe was between 2 and 3 billion years old. And so that light, the universe is 13.8 billion years old now. The light we're seeing from that supernova is roughly 10, 11 billion years old.
And that is so small. So we know the James Webb Telescope, obviously, is it the most powerful telescope so far? Or no?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So obviously weren't able to see things like this before the James Webb Telescope.
Yes.
But I would think trying to find that teeny tiny little dot, oh my gosh, that has to take so much time.
Yes,
Yeah.
it took me months to find all of these.
Oh my gosh.
What you do is you take the 2022 images and the 2023 images and you actually subtract them. Because galaxies don't change that much on a year-long time scale. And so they'll actually subtract all perfectly. So there's nothing there in this, we call it a difference image when nothing changes.
Okay.
But when a big explosion happens, it pops up as a dot in the difference image. And it makes it much easier to look at this pretty much empty image except for these little dots that are appearing. And so that's how astronomers find these supernovae.
Okay.
So what are we seeing in this picture? Are those just those dots, some of those changes?
Yeah, so this time the top row is 2023 images, the middle row is the 2022 images, and the bottom row is those difference images. And so you can see there's a very bright supernova that exploded sometime between the 2022 and 2023 imaging, so it appears brightly in 2023 images in the top, not there at all in 2022. There is a star there, it's just so distant, and the star itself isn't that bright, so we can't see it at all. But when it explodes, it can outshine the galaxy, which is above it. And this one exploded when the universe was maybe between 4 and 5 billion years old. And so when you see it in that difference image, it appears very clearly, and it's much easier to find than when you have a huge image and you just have to see that there's a dot in one and that's not in the other.
Is it hard? I mean, Me here, I know nothing about this. You're teaching me everything I know right now. For me, anything about space is so hard to wrap my brain around. You're talking about billions and billions of years old.
Yeah.
And the fact that this took you so long to find and nobody found it before the James Webb Telescope. Is that kind of mind-boggling to you, or are you used to talking about this stuff?
It's absolutely surreal. I come from a unique perspective because I'm in grad school, so this was actually the first big paper I've worked on, and so
Okay.
I hear all these astronomers that have been in the field for decades saying how amazing it is that we're finding all of these. But to me, this is normal. This is you know the only time I've worked with stuff like this. But I do have to keep myself humbled and know that how unique this opportunity is and how people have been waiting to do this for decades and to find supernovae out to these distances. So it really is an incredible thing.
Yeah, and I think that, at least for me, I think about space, it's scary because I'm like, there's so much out there that we don't know about.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I think people wonder, what impact does this have on us here at home? So what are some of the things that you can do with research like this? And how is it going to propel you into more, I guess, space exploration and understanding of the universe in the future?
Well, one of the biggest confounding things that we've discovered so far with James Webb Space Telescope is that in the very, very, very distant universe, the earliest galaxies, there's some very bright galaxies, a lot of them, that we didn't expect to see. The theory doesn't account for why there'd be so many bright galaxies so far away. And so the supernovae can help answer that question. The next step in this process is to figure out the rates of supernovae at various distances. And so if there are more supernovae explosions at further distances than previous theory would suggest, that could explain why we're finding so many bright galaxies. There's so many more stars exploding in them than we had expected. And so that's one of the biggest scientific questions that James Webb has brought up, is why are these very bright galaxies so abundant in the early universe? Maybe we can finally answer that question if we discover that the supernova rates at early times are higher than what we would expect.
Wow. So
Both of us,
we're like, wow.
Wow.
So what's next here? Are you guys just going to continue to try to find more of these stars that have exploded, or what are your next steps in the study?
We're going to try. We need more data to do
Okay.
that. We just have these 2 sets of images. I'm going to keep looking at the images to see if I can find even more distant ones. This was just the first sample paper that I put out.
Okay.
Again, we'll do the rates. There's individual objects that are very interesting that we can do just detailed studies on single supernovas or supernovae that exploded. There's 10 different directions you can take this in.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to get more data. We're going to try to get a third set of images for this field to see if we can find even more that are exploding even now. And just keep finding more and keep building our sample of early universe supernovae.
Okay. Is there anything else that we didn't mention that you want to talk about with the study, or any other little details?
Just a fun thing to really connect supernovae with people. We're made of carbon, amongst other things in the universe. Or the Earth itself is made of iron and a bunch of other elements. These elements all come from stars. They are fused in stars. And if it wasn't for supernova explosions, they'd be stuck in stars. And so it's these supernovae explosions that release all of these elements into the universe that then can form planets and can form life. And so every element in my body and in your bodies came from within a star.
Wow.
We're star girls.
Oh, no.
I kind of love that. Wow.
And so the supernovae we're seeing in the early universe could, at this point, we're seeing the light as it existed billions and billions of years ago, could be in people somewhere else right now. And that, I think, is a really neat thing to think about.
Do you think there are people somewhere else?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I do
Okay.
too.
I hope you find them. I hope you're the one who finds them.
I hope so, too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank
you
you.
so much,
Thank you.
and congratulations. This
Yeah.
is such a huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You're
thanks for
welcome.
being with us. Keep us posted on
Absolutely,
your
will
research.
do.
Appreciate it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Well, speaking of things that are happening out in space and out in the sky, the summer eclipse, the summer solstice. So this is something that is actually the longest day of sunlight, summer solstice. And this year, it's the earliest it's been in quite a long time, 228 years.
Wow. So this summer solstice, it is at 1:50 p.m. on Thursday. So celebrations around the world include one at Stonehenge in England. It's the moment the sun reaches its highest point in the sky in the year. So USA Today reports this is the earliest solstice, as Anna mentioned, since June 20th, 1796.
So back then, there were only 16 states in the Union. George Washington was the president, so lots changed since then. But again, 1:50 tomorrow is the summer solstice. And then taking a look at today, of course, many of you probably already know this, but today is Juneteenth. It is a federal holiday, and it's a day to remember, reflect, and celebrate. In 2021, Congress passed legislation making June 19th a federal holiday, and President Joe Biden later signed the bill into law declaring Juneteenth National Independence Day.
So in Texas, the enslavement of black people ended on June 19th, 1865. That is after more than 2 centuries of slavery and a bloody civil war. Major General Gordon Granger made the announcement on that day in Galveston. The Civil War had already been over for weeks, but this news, of course, we didn't have cell phones, there was anything like that, so it traveled a little bit slower to get to where it needed to be.
So Juneteenth is now recognized in all 50 states. You can share your celebration on social media using the hashtag Juneteenth. And of course, as we talk about a federal holiday, you probably are wondering, are there going to be some closures in place because of that? And the answer is yes, there are some impacts that you'll see today. So banks and post offices are something that will be closed. Despite the U.S. Postal Service being closed, UPS, FedEx, pickup and delivery service is still going to be available today.
So Walmart, Costco, Target, they're open. Starbucks, McDonald's, and Dunkin' Donuts will also continue to serve customers. Many of these companies ask customers to contact their local chain to make sure they will be open. But I saw something on social media last night. A lot of people being like, why is there so many people out tonight? And it is because Juneteenth. So obviously, yes, you might have the day off from work, but definitely a larger meaning to this national holiday. So definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah, to reflect on. And I think that for people who work in news, we're like, what is a holiday?
I know.
We don't ever get those.
I don't know.
So, yeah, again, Juneteenth today, a good time to just kind of reflect on where we've been.
We are now.
Yeah, and where we are now. So, again, you can share your celebrations using hashtag Juneteenth on social media. We want to take a look at a trending story today because obviously we had a very impressive woman on with us earlier, Krista, who's kind of trailblazing in the scientific space research field. But we've talked a lot about the WNBA recently, and one of those women, of course, being Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, kind of trailblazers when it comes to women's basketball. And so over the weekend, the rematch between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese definitely delivered. CBS says that Sunday's basketball game between the Indiana Fever and Chicago Sky was the most watched WNBA game in 23 years.
Which is crazy. It's super hard to believe. So it averaged nearly 2.3 million viewers. The Fever won the game 91-85. Indiana is 2-0 against the Sky this season. I know, just for an example here, my mom now watches so many WNBA games because she's such a Caitlin Clark fan, and she probably never watched one before. So just a personal example there. Did you watch the game on Sunday, or did you see any clips on social media?
I literally turned on the game, watched Caitlin Clark get hit in the face.
Okay, that's what I
and
meant
I
to
turned
talk
off
about.
the game.
Yeah, it actually, for me, it was very triggering. I'm like, whoa, that was aggressive.
I mean, yeah, it was called a flagrant foul, and it should have been. I don't think that there was any attempt to a defender even try to,
Nope.
Reach for the ball. I think that it was just kind of to make a point. And I don't understand. I just don't.
I don't understand it either. We are in 2024. How about everyone supports women, no matter who they are, what team they're on. Also, I think you always say this, Anna, 2 things can be true. Caitlin Clark can be a great, amazing athlete, and so can Angel Reese.
Well, that's the thing, is that there's enough space for everybody in the WNBA. There's enough space, there's enough fans now, enough of a fan base, enough of a revenue, I think, being generated that everybody can be accepted and praised the way that they should be. And so I don't think it needs to be, there's just one star, one amazing player in the WNBA. There can be multiple. There can be a whole new generation of them. So I don't think anybody needs to be singling any single player out. But of course, there's a lot of,
oh yeah,
double standards, I think, when it comes to women and women's behavior. Of course, when we see females in sports being competitive, talking trash to each other, people always want to call them names and say things about them when they're doing things that men would do.
Oh, for sure.
But not, being held to the same standard as men. Not getting away with it the way men do. So I just think it's a weird kind of shift where we're seeing more attention on women's sports in general, and women who are finally being recognized as they should be, as competitive really incredible athletes. And so I think that people are going to take some time to adjust to that. But the adjustment isn't going to be aided by people within the same league hating on each other.
Yeah.
That's not going to support this transition at all.
It's really unfortunate to see. I mean, Caitlin Clark obviously started off in the NBA not too great. I mean, she definitely had such an amazing college season. Of course, they didn't win the championship, but still, I mean, broke numerous records.
Yeah.
So super cool to see. I just hate that everyone is now picking her apart, and you can see it's kind of starting to affect her mentally.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
so I think I just want to give all my love to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin, if you're watching out there, no.
if you're tuning into our live stream, well, to all
yeah.
of them, because I think they're navigating a very challenging thing, and they've been put under a microscope, and there's things that have been said about Angel Reese and other
Yeah.
players that shouldn't be said, should never be said on social media.
No, but I don't think it means you can slap someone in the face and then be like, what do you mean you called a foul on me?
Right. If you're going to do it, own it.
Yep.
I mean, at the end of the day,
Yep.
if you're going to do it, just own the foul. And that's, I mean, if that's how you want to play, that's how you want to play. If that's who you
Yeah.
want to be as a player. But I don't think the within the league hate is going to accelerate
No.
this at all.
It needs to just...
But we also don't know. There could be so much that's going on behind the scenes. I just think that, like you said, two things can be true. Like, at the end of the day, me and you get out here every single day. We could be competing against each other,
could.
but we don't.
And we're both different. in our
Very
own
different, and that's fine.
Special ways.
You're blonde. You have this cute little cut. Black swan bestie, white swan bestie. Very different personalities, and it's okay. It works. That's the thing. There's
Exactly.
space. There's space for everybody.
I know.
That's the theme, overall theme, and space with supernovas too. That's
Star Girls.
Star Girls.
Ending on a good note here. Let's take a live look outside on your Wednesday. I hope you guys are having a great day. If you aren't at work because of Juneteenth, that national holiday, congratulations. That's awesome. But as we mentioned, definitely something to be mindful of. There's definitely a reason as to why a lot of people have the day off and that it's a federal holiday. But don't go outside. It's going to be hot.
don't enjoy
Don't
your
enjoy it
holiday,
outside.
but don't go outside. Yeah, definitely keep the heat in mind, and then hopefully we see kind of a transition into some cooler and wetter patterns for our weather this weekend. But again, we appreciate you being here with us today. Of course, as always, we'll have that interview up on our website under the Inscription on 13 Plus tab. So be sure to share that. I mean, just really cool advancements being made at U of A specifically when we talk about astronomy, space, everything that the James Webb Telescope has enabled them to do. And we love seeing a female lead a
was gonna
team of
say,
space
what a
researchers. Like, that is so incredible.
super
So
cool.
yeah, be sure to take a look at that interview, share it with your friends, and again, thanks for joining us. We hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday.
Thanks for watching. We'll be right back here tomorrow at 9:30 for Unscripted.